Good morning. In this moment, I don't know what is language to use in this speech because my colleagues speak in Spanish, in Hebrew, in English, in French. I prefer English because I prepared a couple of weeks ago my conference in English, and later it's possible to speak in French, in German, and Italy. But now I don't speak now. Hebrew, but I promise in the future learning these languages. Promise. I want to say my first word to send to invitation the organizers of this wonderful congress. Salomon, I don't know what is it. And my friend Pinto, his wife, and other colleagues. At the ambassador, he go, the other one, anything. I remember 20 years ago, I was made my doctoral thesis about the history of the Spanish universities, and especially in the life of the different teacher and the different students from the different territories of the Spanish monarchy. And I saw in thousands of documents the history of a lot of people, and inside this paper I found several documents about the history, about the life of the Spanish conversos. In this moment, for me, it's not the main way of my doctoral thesis because my idea is wrote about the law of the development of the Spanish university, the core of justice, anything. But later, several years later, I tried to make a small construction of the life of the student or teacher was coming of the Judaism. I did have dedicated my work in this Congress about it. Now, it's possible also work in the several Spanish institutions about the history of the Jewish people, the Spanish Jewish people, in different institutions. For example, now I work with a friend in the Tarazonas Cathedral in several documents of the Torah. What's found inside the different books of the archive of this institution. It's very, very interesting because it's possible to study the life of different priests inside this cathedral was learned several times in the Hebrew document. And it is possible in the next month looking for a new document because now this cathedral working about it. It's interesting to study the history of the medieval time. For example, in the year of the 1449, a tragic event took place in Spain. In the city of Toledo, rose against Henry IV Prime Minister, Don Álvaro de Luna, and Jews inhabiting those areas were the target of the raids. It was the beginning of what would become the statute of purity of blood. This statute is the main way to use the Inquisition and the old Christian against the new Christian or the false conversos. Why? The idea is occupy all the Spanish institutions around the world for the old Christian. The old Christian use this statute of purity of blood for occupy all the institutions. The university too, but it's possible to find several institutions against the idea to introduce these estancias of purity of blood. For example, the Compañía de Jesús. The Compañía de Jesús always were again the estancias of purity of blood. In a study of the Professor Dominguez Ortiz, we wrote about the percentage of new Christians persecuted by the Inquisition. He used a new idea to make the account of the new conversos. He said, we cannot determine with certainty the actual number because there are few document gaps, but they were for sure high number. The number has been estimated of 300 several people. Maybe it would be more realistic to place them on the low 200,000 people. If we were into account the different phases of the repression by the Inquisition, the Spanish Inquisition, people were to consider it to be a new Christian because of their Jewish roots. How many of those people were taken to the historical trial? He said around a number of 15,000 people, only 15,000 people in comparison with the real number of false conversos. Therefore, only is a small fraction of that minority was in fact directly affected by the Inquisition. Other teachers say other number included the new conversos coming the other country. In the Spanish history, for example, the distrust of the achievement of those new Christians was especially visible in the case of the banker and lenders to king. Also, those who held important office in the royal estate and the bureaucracy, and finally, the exclusive group of important clerics. In the case of the Spanish university is very, very interesting because now it's necessary to make a deep study about it. It's usual to study the life of the false conversos in other institutions, in the general administration, in the different cathedrals, in anything. But it's necessary to study now the lives of the false conversos inside the Spanish university around the world. The peninsular, the Spanish institution, university institution, and it's necessary to study the American Spanish university. For example, the first Spanish institution to incorporate a statute of blood purity was the Colegio Mayor de San Bartolomé in Salamanca in 1482. Just the same year when the Inquisition was established on that city, from the same period. The School of San Clemente in Bologna is the first institution was created by the Archbishop of Toledo, San Bartolome, for the Spanish student in Bologna. It's the same year. We had many Castilian students excluded those who had fled from Seville when the Inquisition began to work there, due to the fact that we were not all Christian. In the second years, the provision was extended to all conversos in 1488 after the murder of the Inquisitor Pedro Arbues from Zaragoza in 1485. It's really interesting because who had graduated from that university. Later, other major schools also implemented discriminatory statutes, such as Santa Maria Santa Cruz de Valladolid in 1488, or the most interesting for my different studies, San Ildefonso de Alcalá in 1570. My doctoral thesis were about the different people inside this institution. The Colegio de San Ildefonso de Alcalá was the main major college of the Spanish history. For example, in Salamanca, there were 3, in Valladolid 1, and the main is the San Ildefonso de Alcalá, and the number of students in Alcalá were the most important of the Spanish monarchy. This is the fascias of the San Ildefonso de Alcalá. Is the main important school, university school in Spain, and it's interesting to read the life of the San false conversos student. For example, Miguel Carrasco was chef professor of theology at the University of Alcalá, where he has principal between in years of 1510, 1511, 1516, 1517, and the 1517, 1518. This person is the mayor. In Spain, the people use the word rector. Is the rector of the main important university in the Castilla by transition between the medieval times and the modern time. The main person behind the king, the Spanish king, were 2 or 3 persons, 2 or 3 people. And the main is El Cardenal Cisneros. Cardenal Cisneros is the powerful people in this time of transition. And this university was created by the money of the Cardenal Cisneros. And this university was created for development the culture, the Spanish culture, the Spanish church, by the idea to send this student after to America. So Miguel Carrasco is the main person behind the rector, behind the Cardenal Cisneros. Other person, other people, Agustín Cazalla, all students of Valladolid, bachelor degree in Alcalá in 1531, licenciate in 1533, is professor in Alcalá de Henares in 1536. This guy, the same directory from a family converso. Yeah, I finished. And finally, the idea to my work is to study the life of the different students, what's process for families conversos. These people use letters coming the Judaism, and these people use inside his room the Torah, the different Jewish books, and later his people go to Amsterdam, go to America, and in these territories change the Catholicism from the Judaism. This is my word. Thank you very much.